Welcome to the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL fantasy. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. Your hosts, Frosty and Steve.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fantasy HQ, all things NRL fantasy. I'm Frosty, and tonight I am flying solo. Steve-O's busy, bunkered down, doing some extra homework. He's got a big head-to-head grand final this weekend, so he's using every second of this week to prepare. Word on the street, fresh off team news, is he's managed to squeak together a 17. Now how strong that 17 is another question, but he's prepping and gearing up there, so not with us tonight. Hopefully we get him back on board next week, and he's celebrating a big win, so stay tuned for that next week. But for now, we'll rip in to the round that is 26, and wow, start us off. My Bulldogs have the Panthers, and I personally love to see this team list to start things off. Panthers flicked off 16. They're starting 17 from last week. Only Brad Snyder survives. So a different tactic here from the Panthers. They're not sitting comfy at number one spot to start the playoffs, so they don't get that safety net of a loss and go again. They are facing sudden death. So top four out of range. Looks like Ivan Cleary is going for a different tactic and going a week early on the bye week for them, which it sort of is. And return next week with a full 17, get a week of footy under their belt, ready to hit the ground running. So, one, good news for us Dog fans. We should get a win and solidify that top four spot, which looked like it was sort of getting away with us. If we lost this week against a strong Panthers outfit, it would be all on the line with the Sharks. But hopefully they can win here and ease our worries. So, 16 out for the Panthers. Nothing relevant there. Kick out for the Dogs. And that's all in this one. Current to an edge, but it will be for 1 week, you imagine. So, nothing to worry about there. Warriors and Eels, both unchanged. So, coaches are happy. Eels after that strong performance against the Roosters. And the Warriors, they are still trying to find their best form heading into the playoffs. So, consistency will be key for the next couple of weeks for them, and hopefully they can click up a couple of gears. Storm Roosters up next. We have Harry Grant facing his 2-game suspension, so we've got Bronson Garlick there starting at 9 for the next couple of weeks. We also have Katoa, Coates and Meaney rested alongside King, so may have found themselves in a few teams, but they are rested. We'll be back next week. Roosters, we have Sandon Smith returning for Sam Walker, who's HIA, so hopefully he's back and gets a week of footy in for the Roosters before they have a crack at making the second week of the finals. Down to the next game, and we have Raiders Tigers. Tamale is the big in for the Raiders after a few weeks out with a knee injury. And here's in for Savage, who is out for the season there with a arm-shoulder injury. So that is unfortunate for him. He was going well this season, but these things happen, unfortunately, in sport. Tigers, Latu Fainu comes in at 7 for Doueihi. Talking about injuries, he has got some face fractures there, and may touch base with him later on in the episode. And that's all the relevance there fantasy wise. Dragons, Eagles, a little bit here for the Dragons. Saul returns to Ballin's back, which means Cooks to 9 and Little on the bench. Manly there is unchanged. Cowboys, Broncos, Queensland Derby is next up. Cowboys are unchanged. Broncos, Piakura on the bench with Adam Reynolds named on the extended, so look for him late. But you'd like to think Broncos maybe give him one more. Early return from a hamstring injury for Reynolds is not what I'd quite be after as a Broncos fan. Moving on, Sharks Knights. Era returns there in the centres, and Jesse Colquhoun gets the starting lock spot. So they had the bye last week. We had to wait to see who that was going to be, and he gets the nod. So if there's a longer runway, if there's more rounds, he would be a nice wee pickup. But yeah, 2 games doesn't leave much to our cashing on that. Knights, they're unchanged, so don't worry about their lineup. Dolphins, Titans. Nikarima returns at 6. Averillo shifts back to the centres. And Fige is the guy who makes way there. The youngster Nafahu, he keeps his spot there out on the wing, which is good to see if you picked him up over the last few weeks. And we've also got Finifuiaki out, which means Limilui returns at 11 there. Titans unchanged, but if we look down on the extended there, Carter Gordon, a former Wallabies player, he's looking to make his NRL and Titans debut after a awful niggly spine injury. So fingers crossed he can get on the park and get a couple of games under his belt before kicking into things next year and making a go of it. So there's the team lists for round 26 team. So that'll take us straight into our trade targets. And again, like last week, if you tuned in, our top 2 lines of keepers there, they are the top 2 in each position. Hines, the exception. Obviously, Cleary's out. So if they aren't playing this round, we don't have them in. And Fogarty would be up there, but chances are Raiders get rested next week after they have that minor premiership sorted. So Hines will play the next 2 games, which are the final 2 games of the round. Therefore, probably one of the better half options if you're looking for someone this round. And all the others speak for themselves. Haas going great guns, probably number 1 captaincy option. May the only other really on the radar with Cleary out this week. And then a couple of pod options, captain-wise, in those keepers. But if you're looking for trades, if you do have 1 or 2 up your sleeve, they are our go-tos. They hit the players you should be getting into your team if you don't. And then our pods, our point of differences, and our cheapies. Sort of luxury at this moment, or pod plays if you're really just trying to make inroads in overall ranks or have a point of difference when it comes to matchups in a head-to-head final or semi-final. So that's how that works. So we'll get into it. At hooker, in the pod spot, we've got Sam Verrills again, coming off a 58, 62 average in the last 5, 690k. If you've got a trade up the sleeve and you're looking for a replacement for Harry Grant, he would be right up there for us. Garlick, mentioned it before in the team list. He's going to get this starting 9 spot for Harry Grant. So he should get 2 rounds there, starting hooker, and produce in and around that 40-plus mark you'd like to think. Over to the front row, Tino, he is our pod, coming off a monster 75 for the try there against the Waz last round. Should comfortably give you a 50-plus over these last 2 rounds. Minutes should be in that 60-minute bracket. So at a fantastic price of 563k. So there should be no reason why you can't get him if you're looking to bring in front row this week. Bailey Hayward stays down there in the cheapies, 42, with an average of 43 in the last 3 rounds since being named to start at hooker. So you're looking at least 40s and those low to mid 40s at 373k again, accessible to all coaches, and for whatever reason, if you need a awfully cheap front row spot or a half, he would be the man for the run home. At the edge department, Hopgood 59 with a try there for the Eels in that 30-10 result over the Roosters. 61 minutes. He's looking good. So dual position. If you need an edge or a front row, get him in, especially with trades running low. That dual position could be vital. And then we've got a youngster there in the cheapies, Jacob Halangahu. Dragons, he's coming off an 80-minute performance where he produced 57 fantasy points, 45 tackles in that with 120 metres, so that is fantastic base. And coming off the week before where he had 66 minutes, scoring a 49, and again, great base stats in there. He could be a black bookie for next year. Probably not for this year. Again, the cheapies shouldn't really be on the radar. You shouldn't really be bringing them in unless, for whatever reason, you've got one trade left, two trades left, and that is just the bracket that you're working with. They're your guys. Otherwise, just be hold fire, get the keepers in, get the pods in. These are just the desperate ones that hopefully you aren't cashing in on, but mentioning just in case. Into the halves, Ben Hunt stays there. Only a 45 last week, but look at 513k. He could give you a 50 both weeks, so he's a chance at that each week, and at that price, he's worth the roll of the dice, which is a pod play here in fantasy. Latu Fainu returns. I mentioned that in the team list. A couple games at 7. An average of just over 30. There was a 60 to bump that up, so there's a couple of high 20s and a low 30s, so won't be producing too much, but again, potentially one on the radar for early next year. In the centres, Taylor May, good to see he's been updated on fantasy. He's got a Tigers jersey on him now. 575k, coming off a 66 with a double last week. He does have an average of 52 in the last 5 rounds. So if you're after a pod play and that centre spot is awfully thin with all of those injuries, Doueihi's added to it, he could be a great play for those head-to-head semi-finalists, finalists, or again, trying to just make some overall ranks with a point of difference. He could give you a 60 quite easily. And he's only dropped below 40 once in the last 5 games. So have a look there if you're after a centre. And Buchanan, he stays at the cheapie, doing a great job. He's coming off a 38 without a try, so that now makes it a 35 and a 38 in back-to-back games without tries. A nice young prospect there for the Dragons. Hopefully they can hold on to him, and certainly one for the Black Books come trials next year. Into our wing fullbacks, Walsh, he's been there for a number of weeks, the last 6 or 7 weeks, and he has been going gangbusters. It was 5 or 6 50s in a row, and last week he really took off with a 91. Unfortunately for myself, someone I haven't got into the team along with Turbo, so didn't travel so well last week with those guys missing, but if you had them, especially both of them, you are absolutely laughing and chuffed with those results. So 14% owned, 690-ish K. Again, he's still a play that could be made with the run home. And the youngster Nafahu there for the Dolphins remains, keeps the spot, a 39 without a try, 200 running metres, 6 tackle busts, just cashing in on the attacking flair that is the Dolphins. So hopefully more of the same for the run home if you've got him. Again, himself, Buchanan, Fainu, and Halangahu, all of those guys, and even a Garlic, they are more black bookers, absolute desperate roll of the dice for the last 2 weeks if you are short on coin and trades and you find yourself in that desperate area. Hayward, look, he's probably going to average low 40, so you know if you need that for your 17th spot scoring, when there is carnage like we're seeing with the Panthers and Katoa being rested, and the number of injuries, Doueihi, Grant suspension, Jackson 4 suspension, like all of that stuff's mounting up. If you're desperate, Hayward could be one. But again, Panthers rested this week. One of the key questions is who will get rested. Well, you're looking at Raiders next week. You're looking at the Storm next week. You're looking at the Dogs, especially if the Dogs beat the Panthers, that you'd like to think happens on Thursday night. All of those 3 teams will be cemented into those spots. So you'll be looking for all 3 teams to be resting players, stars at least in that round 27. So Hayward potentially at risk. So just keep that in mind if you are going for the likes of himself, Jacob Preston and Jacob Krause, especially in the keepers. If you don't have them, got to be asking yourself, do I roll the dice, or is there someone like a Hines in the halves who we know will be guaranteed not to be rested? A KPP is another at the edge. Turbo at Manly and the wing fullbacks, not on trade targets, but he's another one who could be coming in instead of one of these guys purely because you're more confident and then playing the 2 weeks. So that is the number one key question and the number one thing to keep in mind as you're going through the trade targets and deciphering who you're going to bring in for your move or two this week. So that's it, team. That is the trade targets. The key question there, if I'm bringing someone in this week, what are the chances they play next week? Because it is utter carnage. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, I am going to very quickly chuck us back here and look at the carnage that unfolded. I scored a 975 last week, which is not great for what I was trying to achieve. 411 overall rank now, so slightly drifted outwards by 150 odd ranks, which I gained the week before, so it's just ebbing and flowing. But yeah, that guy in the third interchange spot, still can't believe it. That 5, an analogy. Now you're Roger Federer or a Nadal rocking up to the Aussie Open. Grand Slam, best of 5 sets. You're up 2 sets to love. The first couple were 6-4s, 7-5s, ebbing and flowing. Could have gone either way. You snuck them in. You get to the last set, and you're up 5-0. Now, it's your day. The opponent's not going to catch you. You're on your way to a win. Rock out for that last game, though, and you rip your hammy. You retire hurt, and you cop a loss. Adam Doueihi has just made me meet that fate. I needed 20 points from him in that last game to win my head-to-head that Steve-O's in to make the final. And 15 minutes in, he decides to try eat Lolo's knee. Face fracture. Still can't believe they actually gave him a Category 2. He was looking unhealthy as anyone this year. And I knew he was no chance at passing that. Off to hospital he went and come up 15 points short. And in my other cash league, needed a 40 from him. So again, he plays 80 minutes. Same sort of analogy. You're waltzing through that third set. You can't be beat. And then injury strikes. And you lose out to injury. So, yeah, tough pill to swallow, that one. Go from flying high, top of that fantasy roller coaster, to not the lowest of dips, but crashing and burning. So, yeah, I have met the fate of the fantasy roller coaster well and truly last round. So, dumped out of my cash leagues and going backwards in the overall ranks. And if I bring up round 26 with the team news, suspensions, not looking pretty, team. Red dots galore, 3 Panthers, Adam Doueihi, Harry Grant suspended, and I had Jackson Ford with a 3-game suspension last week, Jolliffe with a season-ending injury, and they soaked up my last 2 trades. A couple of mishaps before that, so my limited trades were just having to be used to get those guns out, to get more guns, otherwise I'm slipping, and my boat's taking on too much water. So Panthers back next week, but how many are out? It's going to be a struggle to keep ranks here, team. So we may touch base next week and see how that goes. But yeah, tough times ahead, I think. Some rough seas. So that's it for now, team. If you're in my boat and you're in some rough seas, best of luck. Hopefully you can sail through them and come out the other side still intact. But that is the fantasy roller coaster. So such is life, team. Enjoy the weekend of footy. Go the Dogs. See you next week.
We appreciate your support for the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL fantasy. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Facebook, and most importantly, thanks for watching.